Good evening and welcome to the July 28th, 2025 City Council Roundtable meeting. I am Mayor Ross and tonight's meeting is brought to you live using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom. And tonight's recording will be posted on the city's YouTube channel. City Clerk Dean, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Benson,
Here.
Councilmember Watton,
Here.
Councilmember Holloway,
Here.
Councilmember Washington,
Here.
Councilmember Cotton,
Here.
Councilmember Christensen,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Ross.
I am here and everyone is present tonight. We now move to our first item of business is to approve the agenda. Council may have a motion to approve the roundtable agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilor Washington, second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Councilor Benson?
I'd like to pull an item off of the consent.
So this is just roundtable and then we'll approve.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh,
the
yeah,
agenda
yeah.
at 7
Okay,
p.m.
I withdraw.
Okay. So any other comments regarding there's a closed session and executive session? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And the agenda is approved. So tonight we have a closed session pursuant to RCW 42.30.1404B for the planning or adoption of a strategy or position to be taken during the course of any collective bargaining proceedings. Lasting about 30 minutes. Those attending would include City Attorney Dina Burke, City Administrator Mike Chambliss, Finance Director Drew Bote, and Sophia Maybe of Summit Law. And then after that, we will move on to executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to potential litigation. And that would be lasting about 20 minutes. And those attending would be City Attorney Dina Burke, City Administrator Mike Chambliss, Interim Chief Haracy, and Finance Director Drew Boute. And so we would anticipate then that we would be back at 6:50, and we will actually be moving up to the Mountainside Conference Room, and no action will be taken following conclusion of the closed and executive sessions. And recording of the meeting will pause, and then we will council will return to the open session just prior to a regular meeting at 7 p.m. With that, we will go ahead and pause our meeting, and we'll head up to the Mountainside Conference Room. Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Watton and second by Councilor Cotton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We are adjourned at 6:52. Council, this brings us to our regular meeting of the City Council. Time is now 7 p.m. and let the record show that all council are present. Council, please stand and join in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, would you please lead the pledge?
It's all you, Brian. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now move to our first item of regular business is to approve the agenda. Council may I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Johnson, second by Councilor Christensen. Is there any discussion? Councilor Watton and then Councilor Benson.
I have a concern of pulling an item off of consent agenda, the flag policy.
Are you requesting
Yes.
to pull it off?
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we can pull it off and move it.
It comes right after consent then.
Right, absolutely. Councilor Benson?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And that does not require a vote. Anything else for the agenda? So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone nay? And the agenda is approved with the movement of the flag policy to the regular agenda. And tonight we have a Parks and Events Commission here to do a presentation. So we have Emily and Paul Schwem.
I'm just hoping I can see my slide.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Emily Anderson. I've been up here before. This is Paul Swim. I'm the current chair of the Parks and Events Commission. Paul's our vice chair. And we are back as a full commission again, which is exciting. Now we can meet quorum. We have 5 members. And we wanted to talk today primarily about the really positive feedback that we received about the pool expansion project and share that with you guys, just so you're in the know. We were able to attend both the splash pad grand opening and Big Truck Day. Both were a huge success. And what really struck us was when we were there as the commission, kind of presenting the pool expansion project, and just there to get local residents kind of point of view to see what that reception was like. It was overwhelmingly positive. There's a picture there of the easel that had Post-it notes available to residents to post either positive notes about the project or potential concern for it. And I think everyone but one was, yes, let's go for it. This sounds really great. I know you guys have heard this before, but it really struck us, as I said, that was the reception. When we got any type of concern, it was really, I think maybe even just the same person at both events, concerned about that you had to be a member of the Y to have that pool access. But once we were kind of able to talk about the fact that there will be days that are available to everybody in the community and what that looks like, then they were surprised by that and shared that they were much more open to the project itself. We also are here to share some of the ideas that we have moving forward as potential fundraising ideas, if needed, to keep this project kind of in mind and as a possibility. And we're here to share a letter that we crafted for King County representatives, if and when it's appropriate to share that with them. And then I also wanted to let you know what we're kind of hoping to do and accomplish this year, which includes working with city staff on a priority list based on the PROS plan from last year, including this pool expansion project, a potential dog park on the ridge, which has been brought up by residents a few times. The main park in mind right now is Stellar Park, and we're planning on taking kind of a tour to see exactly what that would look like and give our feedback on that. And then also going through that PROS plan of playground priorities and kind of hitting the top 3 or 4 playgrounds that were listed as being in the most need for some type of either rejuvenation or renovation, right? Looking at both kind of their function and their purpose, and also what type of new playground, if there is one that's needed for that particular playground, or if it's kind of a playground that could be maybe used as something else, if there's something that's in the neighborhood close by that could work too. And I'm going to turn it over to Paul, who's going to share some of those specific ideas.
Good evening, everyone. We could go through the letter bit by bit, but you have it in your packets and we don't need to read it verbatim for you. But first, I'd like to thank city staff for their hard work and diligence in putting the grant application together for this YMCA expansion project. I've written grants before, and for those who haven't been involved in the application process, it's no picnic. It involves careful planning and mindful wordsmithing for a successful outcome. Even when you put your best foot forward, sometimes circumstances don't give you an outcome that you wish for. But I would hope that our King County Council Rep's office would support it as much as they could. And so I'll leave it at that. So we're at this juncture, and fundraising ideas that we have sent previously to the mayor's office, which I'll touch on a couple. I'll just rattle through a list of a few things: a brick program, silent auction in a gala setting, selling naming rights to rooms, to the pool itself. This has the potential for some big bucks in the hundreds of thousands for individual rooms. And if executed the right way, potentially north of $1 million in total if you bring in the greater facility naming. A good example would be the Wood River YMCA in Ketchum, Idaho, and the aquatics name that is in the pool area up there. I think that was in the hundreds of thousands as far as the money that was raised for that. Some other ideas not mentioned previously, a 5K fun run. I believe such an effort could be coordinated with the Y. Raffles, walkathons, dance-a-thons, although you wouldn't want me doing any dancing. And of course, the illustrious GoFundMe. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. There's many, many ideas out there as far as putting a package together for additional fundraising. I know many of us have been going on and on and on about the pool, but as we all know, this project involves more than just a pool. There's increased square footage for gym users for equipment space, in addition to increased activity room space and actual locker rooms. Since there's gym-focused patrons out there who don't have an interest in swimming, I'd recommend any fundraising efforts to take a holistic approach to all the features the project has to offer. I wouldn't want to shut out the fundraising potential of non-aquatics users. So you've heard ad nauseum from your Parks and Events Commission on this matter, and we appreciate your time. In this collaborative effort going on for over a decade now, at this juncture, I'm curious to hear from anyone else, staff, administration, council, or other stakeholders, and how we put our heads together and figure out what our efforts now look like to get this funding package complete and over the finish line. Thank you for listening and any guidance you can provide.
Thank you.
Counselor, do you have any questions for them?
No.
Questions? I appreciate your advocacy for the community center and the pool and all the work that you're doing with the ideas as well, but also all the work you're doing with the pros plan and getting a dog park and a lot of the important things that our residents are looking forward to. So thank you.
Thank you.
Nice presentation. This time, we provide time for residents to comment on items that are not on the agenda, and no online public comments will be accepted during the meeting. Written comments are encouraged, and may be submitted in person, mail, or email to cityclerk@snoqualmie.gov. Before I go into the ground rules, does anyone in the audience wish to have public comment tonight? So please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Now we move to the consent agenda. Consent agenda contains approval of the city council meeting minutes dated July 14th, 2025, and approve the claims report dated July 28th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilor Washington and second by Councilor Watton. Is there any public comment regarding those items? Seeing none. Council, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The consent agenda is approved. So items removed from the consent agenda are added to the meeting agenda in order of business immediately following the consent agenda. And that leads us to the AB 25-071 flag policy. And which committee did that come out of? FNA. So we'll have Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Would you please read the summary and motion?
Okay. The administration seeks council direction and policy regarding which flags are to be flown at city facilities and when flags should be flown at half-staff. Proposed motion is moved to adopt resolution 1722, adopting a city flag policy.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway and second by Councilor Johnson. Any public comment regarding this item? I know that we did receive several written public comments earlier today. Council, any discussion? Councilor Christensen?
Just at the outset, I also noted that I received an email earlier that ended up in my junk box. That was
Yeah.
also public comment for today.
Okay.
So in case anyone has not seen it,
I did.
Also.
then there's.
I did as well.
One, two, okay. Councilor Watton?
I have a question, and it references in the resolution, I believe, Exhibit A, but I'm struggling to find Exhibit A.
Your city attorney?
I
do you have
apol-
that?
Thank you, Mayor. The document that's on page 27 should be Exhibit A. I apologize. It's not actually labeled Exhibit A. It's the document that starts out, it says at the very top, City of Snoqualmie flag policy. That should be Exhibit A. And so I think that's just that is a scrivener's error that we can fix administratively afterwards. And thank you for pointing that out.
Councilmember Johnson.
And that document is sort of like a cliff notes, but it's not itself the resolution, correct?
The document on page 27 is the actual proposed policy. The resolution is on page 29.
Okay. And then is that then adopted by reference in the resolution? I'm just trying to understand the mechanics, sorry.
The resolution is basically explaining what council is doing and that their council is approving the flag policy that's attached as Exhibit A.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Watton.
Okay, I have a series of questions. I guess the first one is are we going to designate what is flown outside in our courtyard versus what is maybe displayed inside in the council versus our lobby area? Are we distinguishing between that? And the second question is a follow-up question to that. And that is, what we are passing tonight is just allowing a process for that to be considered and brought to us at the recommendation of the administration and decided on by the council? Or are we saying that every holiday that's listed here or month that's listed that goes with the particular flag we are approving today?
Did you have a response to that?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll turn it over to City Attorney.
Sure, it's city attorney. Go.
Okay. That's a good question. The policy, I know there was a lot of discussion before about the inside and outside displaying in the window. The way the policy is currently drafted, it just says that flags shall be displayed on city facilities. And it defers to the direction of the mayor in terms of, the actual like follow through of where. So it is vague in terms of on city facilities. That was intentionally done because there was a lot of discussion about where the flagpoles are and what would go where. This is providing a list of flags and they would be displayed on a permanent or temporary basis on city facilities as directed and approved by the mayor. So this would be the complete list of flags that may or may not be flown, and it would be at the direction of the mayor. And so there would not be, staff would not be bringing something back to council, for example, to fly the pride flag during the month which I believe is June, when the pride flag is traditionally displayed. It would be approved via this, and then the mayor would give the direction to staff to display the pride flag. If in the future there was a desire to add another flag to this list, that would then be amended. This policy would be amended by coming back to council to amend the flag policy.
Councilor Johnson.
I was just gonna say that, that, if there's some other special event that came up of some sort of interest of some kind, the administration come back to us. It doesn't give them blanket authority to fly any special event flag. Yeah.
Councilor Benson.
Yeah, my concern is the exclusivity of it. There are 11 national holidays. And I'd say about half a dozen of those are well represented by the American flag. But then there are several other national holidays. And of those national holidays, the only one that is identified is Juneteenth. There are literally dozens of awareness months on the calendar, many proclaimed by presidents, by governors. And of all of those awareness months, only one is identified to be flag worthy. I have a concern about that. It concerns me that, why not, Autism Awareness Month or Breast Cancer Awareness Month or Jewish American History Month. I'm concerned about the arbitrary nature of it if we are picking and choosing. the ones. And if we pick all of them, I'm concerned about the expense and storage of the hundreds of flags that we will have to purchase and store, and the expense of having them run up and down the flagpole as well. My sense is that it would be wonderful if we chose the flags that very clearly represent everybody in the community, and celebrate any flags that anybody chooses to fly in front of their home.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
So although my wife will advise me otherwise, I'm unaware of a Christmas flag. So most of the national holidays do not have a broadly recognized flag beyond the United States flag for their recognition. Juneteenth is an exception. It has a broadly recognized flag representing it, and that's why it's on the month here, or on the list here. As well as now, the pride flag is a rather recognized flag associated with June at this stage. That's why that's on the list here. If there are other holidays with generally recognized flags that we ought to consider on the list, let's bring those forward for discussion. But those were the two that we were, as a committee, were aware of, and that's why they're on the list.
Counselor Johnson.
Just wanted to also address the comment that it could be an arbitrary list. And I think if we were the only city that was doing this and that we were charging forth with these, but there wasn't some established practice in the wider region where we were actually the only city that wasn't participating in this exact set, then I would find that more compelling. But far from being arbitrary, these are the flags that, apart from, I guess, the Mount Si flag, high school flag, that just especially there, all the cities and other kinds of agencies are flying as well. So this, I think, just puts us in line with the region.
Counselor Cotton.
I also was impressed by the fact that this particular policy was the one that we got 100% positive feedback on from our residents and constituents, that they supported it. So I do think that also speaks volumes.
Counselor Christensen.
I think that especially with the background and the backdrop of what we're seeing in the country at this moment in time too, it is important to make sure that we're demonstrating to the community that we are an inclusive place, right? And I think that by including especially those last two flags, Pride and Juneteenth, that we're making sure that all of our residents are going to feel welcomed here. And I agree with public comment as well. I think it's important.
Counselor Washington.
I agree with my colleagues, and I'll just, I wanted to make a comment about the Juneteenth flag. So we do have African American History Month, which is an awareness, which does not display its own flag. But Juneteenth is a significant day in American history, I think, that does represent all Americans and the American story and the American journey. So I think I'd say specifically here for Snoqualmie, the Pride flag and the Juneteenth flag are very much commensurate with our values. And I support it.
Counselor Benson, and then Counselor Watt.
My argument isn't that these holidays are not representative of all Americans. My argument is that they have been chosen specifically. And I don't know that, if there was a Columbus Day flag that became widely recognized, that we would necessarily want to fly that. But if we chose not to, after saying we would fly the Juneteenth flag, Juneteenth being a national holiday that I think is fantastic. I think it's a wonderful lesson for all Americans. I'm concerned about the optics of picking and choosing, because you're right. There isn't necessarily a Christmas flag. There isn't necessarily a Thanksgiving flag or Columbus Day flag, but those are national holidays. And if we chose to represent one with our city, what would our argument be for not representing all of the others? If we choose to represent one National Awareness Month, what is our argument for not representing all of the others? I don't, that's my concern. My problem is not with the LGBT community or with Juneteenth specifically. My problem is with an arbitrary policy. And I do think it is arbitrary, even if lots of people are doing that. I think that we've all noticed over the years broad sweeping movements that haven't been reasonable. So I think that we need to consider that.
Counselor Watton?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I am absolutely, totally in favor of inclusion. But here's where I'm landing on this. One is that there's the potential that we'll have two different groups on the same month where we're trying to give them equal credit. We have a flagpole out front that really can handle two flags at any one time. I would propose this idea, and that is the American flag, first and foremost, represents everybody. And I have friends and family member that fall into each of these categories. So that's the first thing. I think federally recognized flags, which could be the state flag, as well as the US flag flying on our pole outside. I think inside, I would not have an issue with flying any of these or displaying any of these, whether it's in council or out in our hallway. But I want to make sure that everybody feels that, you know, they're all included. And that's what I see in the American flag, is that we're all included. We don't exclude people. And so that's kind of my position. It may be that I'm in favor of striking and keeping A, B, and C for outside and allow other flags at the discretion of the administration and the council inside. Because I could think, you know, there might be some incredible groups that we want to recognize and they have their own flag. But I also am a little bit sensitive in the fact that we could have a flag for all those of us who love orcas and somebody else loving flags for all the salmon, but orcas eat salmon. And so there's a bit of a conflict. And, you know, and it might be a little bit a ridiculous comparison, but I think it also makes the point that the American flag, when it's on its own, should represent all of us. And that's my viewpoint.
Thank you. Did you have your hand up?
No.
Anyone else have their hands up? Any other discussion? Okay, are we ready to move to a vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay.
So we have, it passes with 5 yeses and 2 voting against, Councilor Vincent and Councilor Watton. Right, thank you. Moving on, we have committee reports. So the first, the fire department second quarter accreditation report. And this is for information only, and you have the report in your packet. And looks like our Deputy Chief Brown is going to make a couple comments.
Good evening, council members, mayor. So Chief Bailey has prepared the second quarter accreditation report for each of you to review. You'll see a lot of the same information that he's provided in previous quarters. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about the statistics and data that was derived from the second quarter of this year.
Council, you have any questions, or we peruse it on your own? We can bring up questions later or send them to your Deputy Chief. Right. Yes, okay, thank you. Is there any further Public Safety Committee report?
None this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any Community Development Committee report?
Nothing at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a Parks and Public Works Committee report?
No.
How about a Finance Administration Committee report?
No report.
Next is executive sessions do's and don'ts by our City Attorney Dina Burke.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to try to share my screen. All right. So good evening. I'm Dina Burke. I'm your city attorney. At last week's F&A committee, I was asked by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway to put together kind of a brief training on executive session with a primary focus on appropriate topics and subject matter for executive session. So this presentation doesn't get into everything for executive sessions, mainly focusing on, because we would be here all night. It's mainly focused on the subject areas that are appropriate for executive session. So to start off, an executive session's a part of a regular special meeting of a governing body that's closed to the public. It's used for confidential discussions, and no final action and no voting takes place during an executive session. For going into an executive session and during it, the presiding officer, which is typically here the mayor, or the mayor pro tem, if the mayor is absent, would announce the purpose of the executive session and the time that it's anticipated we would return from to that open session. In the event that we don't estimate correctly, we then announce the new time that we will come back. And then we are not allowed to return to an open session before that announced time. So for example, if right now at 7:30, we were going to an executive session, we said we'd be back at 8:30 and we were really fast and done at 8, legally, we're not allowed to come back to an open session until that 8:30 time. If we're discussing litigation or potential litigation, an attorney must be present during an executive session, and all discussions during an executive session are confidential. So the topics for an executive session are in RCW 42.30.110. That lists a whole bunch of topics that are appropriate for executive session. I am presenting these out of order, starting with kind of what is most commonly seen, not just in our city, but I think cities across the state. And then at the end, there are the ones that are extremely rare and probably not super applicable to municipalities. So the one that you'll most often see would be any sort of agency enforcement action or anything dealing with litigation or potential litigation. And the idea behind this, you know, one of Snoqualmie's, the city of Snoqualmie's core values is transparency. And I think a lot of government officials want transparency interactions. I know that Chapman University does a study every year on Americans' fear, and the number one fear since around 2020 has been corrupt government officials. And so I know we do a lot at the city to put out information about what we're doing, but executive session, there are legitimate reasons to protect the best interest of the city for items to not necessarily become public. And one of them is potential litigation, where if as a body you discussed potential litigation, the opposing party can listen to that recording. It's broadcast on YouTube for forever, and that could definitely harm the city. So there are legitimate reasons to have an executive session, and that's why it's protected in the law. So any sort of agency, enforcement agency, or litigation or potential litigation.
And that's, when you say
Mayor
agent,
Pro Tem Holloway?
that's external agency action against the city? Or is that agency action by the city on somebody else?
Both.
Both, okay.
Any other questions before I go to the next slide? All right. Potential litigation is also an appropriate topic for executive session. That can be that litigation that's been threatened. So just because a lawsuit has not been filed against the city, or the city filing it against someone, or litigation that's, I'm sorry, for this one, it's been specifically threatened, or the government agency is likely to become a party of it. The second bullet is that if the government agency or the city reasonably believes it may be commenced by or against the agency. So that would go to your comment, Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, of either we're about to be sued or we're about to potentially sue someone else. We can also, an appropriate topic for executive session are litigation or legal risks of a proposed or current practice. So that's discussing the risk and whether there would be any sort of adverse legal or financial consequences to the city. All right. The next kind of bucket of subject matter would be involving real estate. So if the city's considering selecting a site or acquiring real estate by lease or purchase, when public knowledge regarding that has the likelihood of increasing price, or considering the minimum price at which real estate will be offered for sale or lease. However, the caveat is any sort of final action for selling or leasing property does have to be taken in an open public meeting. So that would come forward as a part of an agenda bill for council to approve for the mayor to sign. If, for example, an elected official like a council member or mayor, sometimes this happens at cities, there's a life event and they decide to move out of the city, or maybe health issues. Sometimes people resign from their office. And so then you as the council body would consider candidates to appoint to that vacancy. The interview of that candidate would be in a public forum, and the final action of picking who to appoint to that office would be in the public, but the actual discussion of the qualifications of that candidate to appoint to the elective office would be is under the law appropriate for executive session. The next category is when to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or to review the performance of a public employee. This is different than, for example, if you're doing like a salary study and deciding like just general wages across, for example, usually once a year, some cities will pass like a cost of living adjustment for employees. That would be something that would be done in public. But if you're evaluating an employee's performance or setting the salary of an individual employee, that would be appropriate. I'm sorry, if you're discussing setting the salary of an individual employee or class of employees or discharging or disciplining an employee, the action shall be taken in a meeting open to the public. If there's been a complaint or charge brought against a public officer or employee, that would be appropriate for executive session. However, that person does have the right to force that to be held in an open public meeting. Reviewing negotiations on the performance of publicly bid contracts when public knowledge regarding such consideration would cause the likelihood of increased costs is another topic. This is where we're starting to get into the rarer ones. Same with these two. These are pretty rare matters affecting national security. And also topics regarding data security breaches with legal counsel present. That would be something that's appropriate for an executive session because that would impact the security and infrastructure risk if that was discussed and publicly available. These next two slides are all the remaining topics that are in the RCW that apply. I think it would be, a lot of these are more for libraries or hospitals. I wasn't planning on discussing them, but if you have any questions about them, I'm happy to answer them. So just some more information about executive sessions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, question.
Was just back on the
Director
list.
Holloway?
I didn't see collective bargaining
Oh,
discussions.
it's at the very end. Do you want me to skip all the way
No,
forward?
no, if
It's
you
a-
got,
It's a trick
I'm
question.
just a leading, I'm the shtick guy, whatever they call it. Go ahead.
Different, right? Executive versus closed
Yes,
session.
Yeah.
This is executive session.
Yes. May I answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of a trick question is whether or not collective bargaining is an executive session. Under the state law, it's actually under another RCW that says it's a closed session. So From a technical legal perspective, you're calling it a closed session, not an executive session, but from a practical perspective, it's the same thing of it is legal for the governing body to discuss it in a closed confidential session.
Counselor Johnson.
Might to assume that this is gonna get emailed to us.
Yes.
So I could go through it and then send you the questions. Okay, great.
Were there any? Okay. So participants in an executive session have a duty to keep information confidential. The Code of Ethics for Municipal Officers prohibits disclosure of any information gained by reason of the officer's position. If individuals are concerned about what they say in executive session could be made public or disclosed afterwards, they'll probably be hesitant to freely discuss matters in that session. And violations can be serious. It could actually be a misdemeanor criminal charge of willful neglect of duty or official misconduct. One question that does come up is, for example, if a staff member or an elected official is sick or on vacation or work or life gets in the way and they miss an executive session. Arguably, the laws don't prohibit a person from sharing information from basically people who are in a need to know situation. That's different from sharing with people kind of outside the bubble and the general public. But it should be people that have a legitimate work-related purpose for needing that information. And the best practice is to talk to the city attorney and discuss with the city attorney if you believe a staff member or elected official missed an executive session, so that the city attorney can provide an update to that person.
Do you have a question? So, 1 second, Counselor Johnson.
I seem to remember from a long time ago when we did training about this, something about taking notes during executive sessions, that's also supposed to be a no-no of some kind.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I know some people, and if no, that can get really dicey. And so it would be, those notes are arguably transitory, but the safest bet is to just not take notes. Any other questions? So Mayor Pro Tem Holloway foreshadowed what was coming. Collective bargaining, it's technically not an executive session, it is a closed session. The Open Public Meeting Act exempts collective bargaining from open public meetings. So that could include discussing contract negotiations, grievance meetings, interpretation or application of a labor agreement, planning or adopting strategy or position to be taken by the governing body during bargaining, negotiations, grievance mediation, or reviewing proposals and negotiations or proceedings while those negotiations are in public. Similar to an executive session, voting cannot take place in a closed session regarding collective bargaining. I'm happy to answer any questions now. We'll email out a copy of this and you can definitely email me or set up a time to chat.
Counselor Johnson.
Do you also just include maybe a similar list of what's allowed for closed sessions as you
Yeah.
did for executive sessions? That'd be helpful. And then just mechanically, what's the difference from me sitting in an executive session? What can I do and not do versus in a closed session? Or for me as a city council member, is it basically the same?
It's basically the same.
That's what I thought.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, helpful. Thank you.
Okay. It's not working. Moving on, we have the mayor's report is next. Just a couple things. Maybe you noticed there's something new at our interchange, and it's the diverging diamond. It is complete. They will close a lane eventually to add striping and some repaving, but the form and everything is done. And that's very exciting for our residents and for people that commute in to the area every day. So we're very, very excited to have that done. And then widening to Deep Creek is supposed to happen this fall. So the both projects will be completely complete this fall. Yes, Councilor Johnson?
So two things. When we had WashDOT in here a few weeks ago talking to us, one of my concerns was that when they have the temporary striping, that there'd be ghost remnants of the past striping, and that given the nature of the new configuration, that that would that could be a little scary. I wanted things to be as clear as possible, and I think that they did a fantastic job. One other thing was, and I've just been talking to members of the public about this because, you know, they just finished the interchange. Why is there still a big backup on I-90? And I'm hopeful that things will get substantially better once the widening to 18 is on 18 is done. I at least wasn't really anticipating much change when the interchange opens. That said, once everything is moving smoothly, the new interchange should function at a higher level than the previous set of lights did with the four-way stops. And anecdotally, having passed through when the traffic was clear, I feel as though it moved more smoothly. So just wanted to share that.
Great. Just a reminder to send me your favorite reads, your favorite books. Could be yours, or could be your children's. Right, looking confused. So King County Library System is going to be in here and presenting their, to do presentation every fall about annual statistics. And they wanted to have some fun with some of our reading lists and provide it possibly to the public. So I've gotten several of the council members already, but if you want to send me your favorite reads this week, that would be great, because I will be forwarding it on. And we have a movie in the park this Thursday, and we have the Boeing Classics starting next week. So there'll be a lot of tourism coming to the valley. So those are my mayor's comments. Do we have any commission or committee liaison reports? Councilor Christensen?
Sure. We got the update so far for the YMCA. It looks like they've had 38,716 check-ins so far this year. They have 2,232 individual memberships. They've had about 125 kids participate in sports, and 520 plus families have been engaged in enrichment and special events. They've also offered over 1,000 free showers to folks so far in 2025. Anyone is allowed to take a shower regardless of whether or not you come with your own shower essentials or whether you need them. It's really helpful to our homeless population. There is ongoing programming for teen time. Kids in grades 5 to 12 can drop in Monday to Friday for 2 hours. And they also have a tween club for kids 8 to 12 and mahjong as well. That's free and open to the community. So stop by.
Any other comments? Councilor Watton?
Couple quick updates. First of all, there's still remnants of the housing task force. If you're curious, we're still looking at options for tax parcel ending in 9033 that we have a couple other parties that we're engaging with, and so we'll continue our follow-up, but it is promising. The biggest challenge is this, is that when you have a developer or nonprofit that comes in to do the project, it is really difficult to do it and to get to the AMI of 60% without density. And so, and number of units, and oftentimes it's 100, but we are in talks with one group that specializes in doing smaller scale that works for smaller communities, which Director Davis and I have had a conversation, so we'll continue that, and their smallest development is 40 units, so it does look encouraging on that front. And the other one is, and that's our relationship with our with Snow Valley Chamber of Commerce and Snow Valley Innovation Center, and that is the Snow Valley Jobs Board. Will start to go live this week. So it's delayed. It's hard trying to take something that was a manual process and turn it into something that's automated. But that will help add over 125 employers, 15,000 job seekers a year through it. So it gets a lot of traction, but it kind of wore out. So it's going to be back live soon. So those are my reports.
Any other reports? So next we have an executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to potential litigation. And there's three different ones. The first one will include City Attorney Dina Burke, City Administrator Mike Chambliss, Finance Director Drew Boutte, and Parks and Public Works Director Jeff Hamlin. And how long do you think that will last? Maybe 10 minutes? Like 10 minutes. And then the next two will include the same, except for Jeff would be able to go home and with interim. Chief Haracy will be in those additional executive sessions. And those will last how long? Say 20 minutes? We start with, okay, 20 minutes. We'll start with 30 total. So 20 minutes. No action is anticipated following conclusion of the executive session, and recording of the meeting will cease. Council will adjourn directly from the executive session and not return to open session, and the city clerk will be informed of the concluding time, which will be reflected in the meeting minutes. So with that, we will have our meetings here. So everyone will leave. That gives us about 5 minutes, and we should be complete by, let's say, 8:25. So that please turn off the recording and we will start executive session. Thank you.